What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Sideline. I'm Brooke 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏. That's my girl, 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗃. Dani, I love we're in sync with slick back buns. It looks good on you, girl.
I never do this. I literally took a page out of Brooke 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏's handbook. I was trying to do the slick back.
It looks great. You should wear it like that. Do you wear it like that on camera? Because you should.
Never. This is my first time ever, I think. But maybe I don't mind it. I've been trying to do it more in my day-to-day life because your pictures from Europe, honestly, you looked so classy and cute. I was like, wait, I want to start to do that. So literally I was influenced.
Oh, you're so sweet. Well, I haven't washed my hair in like 4 days. So yeah, it's because I am just lazy these days and I don't feel like doing my hair, but thank you so much. Wait, how was your week?
Week was great, a very chill, casual week, but something really exciting for you coming up this weekend is you are going back to my home state, to that terrible town of Eugene. But it is the Civil War weekend and you're going to be the sideline reporter. I want to tell you right now, as a longtime Oregon State fan, I apologize for what's going to be put out there on the field. Over the last 2 weeks, I've actually laughed. Like it's actually become like laughable, the football that's being put out there. So.
Well, I'm very sorry that you had to experience that. But I'm hoping, one thing that I have learned about rivalry games, Dani, is that it doesn't matter. Sometimes there's one team is going to be significantly better than the other, but maybe they rise to the occasion because of the history there, and maybe we have ourselves a good game. But shout out to your family, because I want to be well educated on the rivalry. And I mean, you grew up, you lived it, you breathed it. Breathed it? Yeah, breathed it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I shout out to your family for giving me all the little nuggets on that. That was so sweet.
We were excited. I mean, we used to be way more excited for this game. Now we're really only going to watch it because you're on the sidelines. So I think everybody else wouldn't have turned it on, because I think most high school teams could probably beat what product's being out there on the field at the moment. But you know what, Brooke? We're very excited to watch you, and we're excited that we could have given any tidbits on what the rivalry used to mean in Oregon.
Well, hopefully I can do it justice. And yes, thank you guys for watching me and all your support. It'll be fun to be back up there in your neck of the woods this week. But we have a very exciting guest coming on our show today. Somebody that talk about history. We have tons of history with. He's a stud. If you're in the baseball world, you know him. You can see him on MLB Network, on Apple TV, Friday Night Baseball. He worked with us at Bally Sports and my former co-host for The Rally. So please welcome Russell Dorsey. And now we welcome in Russ to the show. Russ, so good to see you.
What's going on, guys? How are we doing?
Good. It's so good to see you, Russ. I feel like it's just been far too long. Obviously, we go from seeing each other every single day for years to not seeing each other hardly at all. So I'm so excited to catch up with you, hear what you've been up to. Why don't we just start there? Like, what are all your jobs right now? What's keeping you busy? Because you're one of the busiest people I know.
Yeah, so that's you are absolutely correct, 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗃. The last time I saw you actually was during the postseason. I was driving from LA to San Diego, and I stopped in Newport Beach, and that was great. So yeah, for everybody out there, I'm the national MLB insider for Yahoo Sports, so that's been great. Keeps me busy. I do Friday Night Baseball on Apple TV Plus as an analyst on Fridays, and then I'm also on MLB Network. So yes, staying busy during baseball season, 26 weeks during the regular season, and then the 5 weeks during the postseason, and then the off season too, because guys have to, get traded and sign. So it's definitely a job that keeps you busy, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, we all go way back, because I first, and Dani too, we first met Russ when we got hired a few years ago, brought us to Chicago when we were with Bally Sports. Dani was hosting a betting show, and then Russ had the pleasure of working with me every single day.
Every day for 2 years.
We fought like brothers and sisters.
Yes.
But
you would say that all the time.
But that was so much fun, though. Honestly, we look back at this, and Dani, we talk about this all the time. Like, if we had the perfect group, because if this was any other group and we had to work with each other for every single day, 8 hours a day, we would have driven ourselves nuts.
And I think the part that not everybody understands is when you go into a new network and you get a new job, it's not like you just go and you know these people. Like it's complete strangers, and they're like, hey, you're hired. Everyone's moving. There's like 1,000 different parts happening. Brooke was hired a couple weeks before the show even launched. Like I feel like you were like in your car. it happens so last second. So you don't have this team building time to create chemistry. It's kind of like you get thrown into the fire, you're on camera, live broadcast, and people are just expecting magic. And that's really difficult to do. And I do think that you guys had something special there at the rally with you, Russ, and then JP as well. And it's a hard thing to do. You guys had way longer hours than I did, as we all know, and it was super well talked about. But
we would see Dani get off the elevator as we're going up.
We'll be like, where are you going? We're just coming to work.
Yeah, no worries. I'm there from 8 to noon, and that's it. But yeah, you guys had way longer hours. That's a long time to spend with people. What would you say was the way that you guys, do you remember what kind of like broke the ice right away?
Yes, I do. So to you guys' point, none of us had met each other before. I think I was the last person to get hired for our show. And me and Joshua actually happen to have the same agent. Shout out to Kev. But we hadn't met before that. And then our first day together, we did like a rehearsal, and then we shot our show like maybe 2 days later. Like, it was a very small amount of time. And people think that you kind of just build chemistry naturally. I think people also think in TV, like, you just like everybody. That's not true. Like, the more you work in this business, people don't like each other. And so I think the things that we were able to build in a really short amount of time was really special. And, you know, you work in this business long enough and you realize how special that was and how that chemistry was genuine and it was authentic. But we put work in to make sure that people didn't look at us like, quote unquote, talent. Like, we wanted to be like everybody else. We didn't want people to think that we look down on them, because that happens in this business. We didn't want people to think that we weren't relatable, because that also happens in our business. So it was work on me, Brooke, and Joshua's part. And that was actually a conversation that we had really early. Like, I said, hey guys, I'm just a dude. So I don't want people to think I'm some big time TV person. And Joshua and Brooke both felt the same way. And so it came really natural, but it took the three of us, you know, hanging out outside of the studio and really get to learn and know each other for us to kind of build that. And then when we built it off screen, you could feel that chemistry on camera.
But it was cool because I felt like we were growing in this industry together. I remember the very first, well, not just rehearsal, but the first episode, an hour and a half long show.
Yeah, our show was long. People don't realize that was a long show.
It's a long show. You have to be educated on not just one sport, multiple sports, give an opinion on it, and also just kind of, you know, hosting a national show. Like, that's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah,
but somehow we made it work.
It was a interesting case study in putting 4 kids together, if we include Shams in that, and saying, hey, go do TV every day for 90 minutes. And somehow, some way, we did it and did it well, because I go and travel different places and people recognize me from our show because it was on at so many different locations. And sometimes I didn't always think, man, people not watching this in LA, but there we are in some bar in Santa Monica, and there's a hotel I stay at in Pasadena, and the guy that does the valet there used to watch our show all the time and loved it. So it's always the hotel that I stay at, and like, he always takes care of me. But like, yeah, I think we were able to connect with people in a real and genuine way. And I think that's something that we should be really proud of.
I think it's so funny because when you sit in a studio, and I know you guys can attest to this, you kind of forget that it's going out to so many people and that what you say is tied to your name for as long as you live this earth, and whoever caught that portion of your show. So it is kind of crazy because you sit in this like super empty studio with just like the crew and your co-hosts, and you're forgetting that everyone else is watching. I think that's so funny. But I will say, one of the best parts about that job in Chicago for me, even though we weren't on the same show, I would come in and obviously fill in for whoever.
No, you were an honorary rally.
Yeah, you were like a cousin.
Okay. You know, like an adjacent, rally adjacent. But was the camaraderie outside of the show? Because I miss it. I miss it so much. Like, I do enjoy my life now so much, in the sense that, like, you know, I have so much freedom and all of that. But I miss being able to be like, hey, do you guys want to come over and watch a game? Where do you want to meet? Are we meeting at 𝗵cie? Where are we meeting to watch this game? I miss that so much. And I just I'm thankful for my time in Chicago with you guys, because it was literally the best to have like built-in besties in a place where I had never lived before.
Well, you are missed. Yeah.
It was so like new, and I think that gave us all opportunity. Like, hey, I don't know you, you don't know me. Let's go watch a game together because we need to watch this stuff anyway for our job.
It's literally studying for
So you're
work.
right with the built-in besties thing.
But
Wait,
Russ,
real quick, can
go
we
ahead.
touch on the rally room because everybody talks about the show, but we always say, okay, so the rally room, Russ, explain it.
All right, so the rally room was our place where we had our production meetings. We thought of ideas for the show. We did our own research. We kind of just tossed around ideas. And that was like 1% of what we did to get prepared for the show. The other 99% was craziness, things that couldn't be said on air, things that couldn't be said on social. We had this board it started as all the things that the three of us would say on air that out of context would
Like
sound insane, like pause moments, like AO moments. And so Brooke had a ton, I had a ton, Joshua had a ton. Like I think of the one where we were talking about the hot dog eating contest with like Joey Chestnut. And we were like, how does somebody do that? And Joshua goes, well, you have to relax the throat. And we were just like, oh my God. And if somebody heard that out of context, they'd be like, Joshua, what is going on?
Yeah.
So that was a rally room.
Yes. And we had like top five favorite smells, top 5 favorite types of boats. Like it got
every week we'd have another whiteboard behind where we sat, and it was just kind of like a fun camaraderie thing that would get like the whole office involved. And it's like top 5 smells. So then you had to think of different smells. So like the smell after it rains, or barbecue, or roses. And you couldn't pick one that somebody else had, so it made you get really creative. But just fun stuff like that was things we did every day for 2 years. And that also goes to like the chemistry building part.
Why didn't we have like a TikTok or a podcast? I feel like there were so many cool things that we fun things that we did. Man, the rally TikTok would have popped off. The rally room.
I think a lot of things and ideas that we had would have popped off.
I think that it would have been for sure like a viral conversation, people wanting to have a piece of their opinion on favorite smells or whatever it was. Yes. I know every time I walked by that room, everybody was freaking out about something. So I know there was a lot of fun brainstorming going on.
Oh, shout out to Sam Walkoff. Speaking of, because I would always see people that said, yo, I love you guys rally TikTok and Instagram videos. And I'm like, yo, Sam Walkoff, like she's the brains behind all that.
Sam Walkoff is the brains behind our social media posts as well. So yes, she's still employed by us because we love her so much. Can't let her go.
Hi, Sam.
Russ, you mentioned something a second ago, and I kind of want to circle back to it because yes, you're a regular guy, but you're not. But like, if you look in terms of like broadcasters, especially male broadcasters, and in a professional setting, specifically on TV. It's hard to create a path for yourself when you were not a professional athlete yourself, let alone a collegiate athlete yourself. That's an interesting path that a lot of people don't get to take, whether they don't believe in themselves or they just write themselves off way too quickly, or other people write them off way too quickly because they don't have the professional experience at a higher level playing the actual sport. But you've been able to carve out a career for yourself doing that. Can you kind of give people maybe a synopsis of how you got from A to B? I know it's a longer story, but I'm curious if you can kind of give some insight into that.
Yeah. I appreciate you saying that, 𝗍𝗍. So you're right. That's not something that often happens. And it's something that I'm very grateful that people have given me the opportunity to do and talk about baseball alongside guys who are in the Hall of Fame. I think that's crazy. But when I was growing up, I wanted to play baseball. Like my dream was to be in the big leagues. And I played baseball till I got to college. The first week I was in college, I tear my Achilles playing basketball. Baseball dreams over, shattered. And so I didn't know what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I didn't want to do this for the rest of my life. I was a business major. I was actually a marketing major and didn't want to be in an office. I just thought, I'm good at talking to people. I can make some money. And a guy I'll never forget lived in my dorm freshman year at Oral Roberts, David Sauer. He was the editor of the sports editor of the newspaper. And he says, yo, I think you should write for the student newspaper. And I said, that's a terrible idea. And so he would hear me talking to guys on the floor about your team sucks because this dude is shooting 40% from the field, garbage. This dude is hitting 215, garbage. And he was like, I can't teach the knowledge that you have in your head about sports, but I can teach you how to write. That's easy. But like your thoughts, the way you can analyze things, watch a game and break it down, like I can't teach that. And so here I am, my first month of college in a cast up to my knee, can't go out, can't go to party, tailgate, all that stuff. And I'm like, sure, I'll try it. And instantly fell in love with it. Fast forward, did some internships, started working at the Chicago Tribune on the desk, like really low level journalism type stuff. But my goal was always to write about baseball. Like it had always been my passion. It was a thing that I said, okay, I want to do that for the rest of my life. And there was nobody that looked like me really covering baseball at a really high level. There were some, which is awesome, but especially here in the city where I'm from in Chicago, like we didn't have a lot of people that were doing that. So was able to, slowly climb that ladder. 2020, after working at MLB.com for a couple of years, I became the Cubs beat reporter at the Chicago Sun-Times, did that for 2 years, and then started working with you guys in 2022, where I not only was on air every day doing TV stuff, but I became a national baseball writer and insider. And so that was something that was really cool, where at 25, I became a beat reporter, and 27, I'm on TV every day, but also an MLB insider and like breaking news and breaking trades and signings and stuff like that. And so it happened really fast in the grand scheme of things in your head. And you guys get this. It feels like things are going really slow. And it's like, come on, give me an opportunity. Like I'm ready. But I think there are times where I look back and like, I wasn't ready for this job, but you rather take it a year too early as opposed to saying, I'm not ready yet. I'll let that opportunity pass. And you never know when it comes back around. Like that happens all the time. So it was a unique path. But one of the biggest compliments I've ever gotten, shout out to my guy, 𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗹. Literally 3 months ago, he saw me at the studio at MLB Network, and he saw me do the show the night before. And he comes up to me, gives me a hug. He's like, man, I just love the way you talk about baseball. Like I always learn something when I'm watching. And it's something I almost get emotional talking about because like I watched P pitch in the big leagues for a long time. Like that guy has a Cy Young award and he's one of the most down to earth people. And for a guy who played at that level to say, you dude that never played in the big leagues, I learned something about baseball watching you on TV. Like that makes me feel really good. So I do always say like, I'm a regular dude, 𝗍𝗍, because like, that's kind of just how I think. And I think that's the way I was raised. Like I wasn't raised to think I'm better than people or anything like that. But I do always want to show people that like, yeah, this is a normal conversation that two people are having. I just happen to be on the screen when I'm having it with you. And hopefully you do learn something about baseball while also being entertained.
That's really cool for PV to come up to you and, guys that you looked up to. And
yes.
And he's like, I just love, you do have such a gift, Russ, when you talk about baseball. You make it so easy to listen to and just the way you explain things. People don't realize how hard it is to do what we do, right? And it really is an art form. So props to you.
Thank you,
I think like it's so interesting because I do want to dive into this a little bit more because I do feel like this is such a rarity. It is so rare to grow up a fan of a sport and get to where you are without necessarily the baseball career behind it. But I think that just shows that people can do it. So like, I just feel like there's so many people that could be listening and they're like, wait, I didn't get to play XYZ, but I really love sports and I really want to be a part of it. And I think you see that in the play-by-play space, but very rarely in an analyst space.
I think for me, like the connection was being a reporter, right? Like people think of me as like I'm a TV guy, but my love is writing about baseball. And the connection was always, okay, I can use TV to help promote things that I write, right? Like I can use TV to give a synopsis or a Cliff Notes version of something I wrote. So there are conversations that I'm having with players or executives that I can bring on air. And I don't always have to share the specific person that told me that, right? Like having those sources and people that you can lean on for information. But that's always how I looked at it. Like TV was a way for me to promote my written work. And then I just happened to get better at the TV side. And, you know, you learn, okay, this is how I can kind of marry the two things. And it was always, our business is where it is now. Like, you got to be able to be versatile. Like, you can't really say anymore, I only do one thing. And so while I love writing about baseball, I also saw where our industry was going and say, well, I need to know how to be an on-air talent too. And if somebody wants me to come on and do a hit on a show, I should be able to talk for 90 seconds or talk for 40 seconds, give my point or opinion, and then stop talking. It's really hard for people to do.
It is hard to be like concise and informative in a small amount of time. I do want to talk about the changing landscape of this business, but first I genuinely just need to know, like, I know how we deal with it because we've talked about it, but when you're such a fan, like truly, and you work with these athletes that are people you grew up watching, or the current players that you're just fans of, how do you push a fandom aside when you're talking to people? You know, how do you not geek out?
So that's a great question, 𝗍𝗍, and it's one I get. I don't even think about it. Like, in my mind, I haven't been a quote unquote fan since I decided to do this as a job. Like, it was the first thing I said, all right, the fan part of my life is over. I am now a reporter. And that's how I've looked at it ever since. So for everybody out there, I'm from Chicago. I grew up a Chicago White Sox fan, but the Chicago White Sox winning or losing doesn't make me feel any type of way. Like, this is my job. And so when I talk to 𝗬𝗍𝗶𝗹 𝗍𝗲 𝗍𝗏 and Aaron Judge, like, I don't geek out because I'm working. Like, the fandom that I had as a kid about baseball is still there. That's how you do the jobs that we do. Like, we just love the sports that we cover. Cool. But like that, I'm living and dying with a team. I'm living and dying with like that hasn't existed for me in years. So that's how I look at it. And I know people are always like, nah, but really. And I'm like, no, really, I could not care. Like, after this, I'm going home and my mood will not change depending on what happens in this game.
Well, I feel like your job humanizes them a little bit more too, right? Like, you look up and you're growing up watching these guys and they seem like so untouchable. And then now in your industry, you're like, oh, you put on your pants the same way I do. Dude. And you're just a normal dude just trying to navigate life. So I feel like
money. Like, that's the only difference. And I think the other part is when you see, and you guys know this, when you see how the sausage is made, so to speak, and you know, like, the ugliness that most people don't get to see about who people are or what organizations are and all about, you're like, okay, makes it a lot easier to detach from some of these things. But yeah, like, dudes are regular dudes. And I think sometimes especially when you, as a reporter, and like really getting to know guys and you're trying to write when I'm writing a story, trying to learn about somebody, I've done the research before. And so sometimes you're talking to people they grew up with. Sometimes you're talking to a parent or a coach that they came up in the minor leagues with. And that also humanizes guys. Like, this dude was, afraid of the dark, or this guy only ate McDonald's when he came up because he didn't know how to, talk to people in English. And so he only knew how to order off the McDonald's menu. Like, you learn stuff like that. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like, this brings people down to this level of like human being.
Can you go into, because I feel like a lot of people getting into this industry, they think about networking, but there's a difference between networking and building relationships. And I feel like it's such an important aspect of this job. And especially in your position, Russ, where you're trying to break news and you're you were just saying, like, getting to know these players. What is your process into just building these relationships in this industry?
Yeah, I think it's twofold, because I think there's building relationships and then there's networking for, like, in what I do, building sources. And I think sometimes those lines get blurred and that happens. I think for me, just being genuine, like, I present myself as Russ everywhere I go. Like, I'm not National MLB Insider for Yahoo Russ or TV Russ. No, I'm just
That's
Russ.
not how you introduce yourself when you
No,
Really?
I am MLB Network's Russ Dorsey. Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
It's like, hi, I'm Russ. And so I just introduce myself that way, have a normal conversation. And I've been really lucky, like people are really receptive to that. And I think in our business, especially when people know that you're a national reporter, I think of this with like executives a lot. Like people are very guarded sometimes. And I think you just have to know that relationships are built over time. And I remember when I got my job to be an insider in 2022, I was 27. I was scared out of my mind because I was excited for this opportunity, but there was an expectation of like, damn, people are going to really be looking for me to do this. Excuse me if I
You're fine.
Okay.
people are going to really expect me to do this. And I have to do it. Like I want to do well, but I'm competing with guys like Jeff Passan and Ken Rosenthal and Mark Feinstein. And these dudes have been doing it for longer than I've been alive. I'm 27 when I get this job. These dudes are in their 50s and 60s and have all these relationships. And I think the thing that really helped me is I talked to Jeff Passan for like 40 minutes the night I announced I got the job. And Ken Rosenthal called me and said, hey, man, you're going to be great at this because people like you and you're like 12 years old. Like you have so much time in this business to do well. And so I think that helped me kind of relax. Mm-hmm. But I think I had to remind myself, and I still have to remind myself, this thing takes time. And there's a relationship that I built 2 years ago that will be fruitful in 3 or 4 years and being okay with that. And so there's always going to be another trade to break, right? There's always going to be another signing to break. And if I'm going to win in this business, I'm going to win as Russ, right? I can't win as Russ trying to be Jeff Passan. I can't win as Russ trying to be Brooke or Dani K. Like I have to be me, right? I've been successful in this business being myself. And so when talking about how do you build and network and build relationships, I think being genuine, it sounds so cliche, but people feel when you're being phony. People feel when you're being fake in this business because there's a lot of people out there that are phony and fake. And so when you're genuine and you're real and you're yourself, it stands out in rooms where people aren't.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like, and I'm really hammering this down because I just do think that this is, when talking to you, it's a really good episode for people that want to come up in this business, because breaking news is a different type of animal than what Brooke and I do. Brooke does it now, obviously, with the White Sox a bit more. She's got, the behind the curtain there. But breaking news is hard. And creating relationships, if you're in journalism school, if you're in school, they're like, hey, you need to have a headline. Go over to the athletic department and find a headline, just to pass your classes. That's literally what's expected of you as a journalist or journalism student. So you're going out there and you're talking to everyone with the intent of finding a headline. And I think what you're saying is really important for people to hear, that sometimes that headline might come down the line. You're going out there to create a relationship that will eventually get you that headline. But if you go in with want, and me, you're not creating a relationship. That's the phoniness that I feel like you're alluding to. But I don't want to speak for you if that's not what you're saying.
No, I think sometimes you have to, there's a difference between like, oh, I'm trying to break news and I'm just trying to write a story about what's going on. Like my job has changed a little bit from the time I was a beat reporter, where you're covering a team every day. You're in the clubhouse every day. You're writing about what happened in the game. You're writing about transactions. So somebody got sent to AAA today. Somebody got called up from AAA. But a lot of that is the minutia of baseball. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really important in learning how to do the job. And then when I got to the national level, I can kind of trim some of the fat of, I don't have to write about who went on the IL unless it's like a major star. I don't have to write about guys getting called up and optioned to AAA anymore unless it's a big time prospect. But I think some of those things that helped you get there and you learned how to follow the process of like people I need to talk to and what does this move mean for this team and what does this move mean for this player? What does this move for this team in terms of like what they're looking for at the deadline, other things like that? All those things are really important. And so I think it's important for students to know all of this is a process, and it's really important to go through all the steps of the process so that when you get ultimately to the place that you want to go, you know how to do it. Because I think sometimes it's really easy to want to skip steps because like, oh my gosh, this is taking so long. Something we were talking about earlier. But sometimes what you don't realize in those moments is that you're learning tons of different skills that are going to help you for what is hopefully for all of us a really long career in this business.
I always tell people that are getting into this industry, respect and appreciate the grind, because once you do reach wherever you want to go, you're going to appreciate it so much more, because you're going to look back and you're like, man, like to your point, Russ, what you were saying before, you think you're ready and you look back and you're like, I definitely was not ready. I was not ready. And I think you're always thinking, okay, what's next? What's next? How can I get to that next step? When you can be blind to just being present and just like what you can learn and how you can grow in that certain circumstance. And also going back to building relationships, like to your point where you're like, okay, well, I could break this news, which might give me instant gratification, but think about the long term. Am I going to burn a bridge with this person? Or right. And it's like, you know what? I'm just going to hold off because this relationship is way more important than getting this like 2 seconds of like gratification.
I'm so glad you said that, Brooke, because that's something that has happened before where it's like, all right, if I break this, I will get all the retweets and people like per Russ Dorsey. I'm like, hell yeah, I broke this news. And that is the instant gratification. And you want people to think to build that reputation like, that's one of the guys. But also, I know I'll never have this source again. I will have burned this person. And I'd rather keep that relationship strong and one that's fruitful for years to come over the 10,000 retweets that I'm going to get today. You know what I mean? So that's something that you got to be mindful of. And it's not something everybody's going to do. Some people are going to be like, damn that, Russ, I'm getting these retweets off. Or I'm not going to go through the process of really vetting this and really sourcing. Like there's a lot of rumors that are out there about your favorite player getting traded or this guy signing here. And a lot of it is usually BS. So you have to know how to navigate that, ask the right questions, talk to the right people, and being able to like you're going to hear a lot of things. You just got to know who you're going to be able to trust. But to your point, Brooke, about, you know, respecting the grind, how many times do you look back at those stand-ups you used to do at Auburn and like who you used to be, and now you're doing the A broadcast for BTN, and you're doing stuff with the White Sox where you're just like, sheesh, 19, 20-year-old Brooke who still had the Southern twang. Like you don't have an accent anymore. And back then, when you showed me and JP that stand-up that you did back in the day, you did. And so like, that's a process. You're from Atlanta. Like you're going to have an accent. And now most people that meet you don't even know that where you're from.
Yeah. No, first off, those tapes need to be wiped from the internet.
Burned?
No, I love them.
I love them too.
Oh my gosh. But it's true. We all thought we were going to be like Aaron Andrews. We're like, oh, put me on the ESPN sidelines. Who the heck did we think we were?
Exactly.
Who are you?
Wild.
Who are you?
You thought, it's so funny. My mom was always like, I thought you were so good. And then I go back and I watch and God, you were bad. And I'm like, Mom.
It's like, why were you lying to me?
Yeah. But Russ, you mentioned something, and so did you, Brooke, and it's about that instant gratification. And I think that leads to this business changing quite a bit, because we are seeing people getting hired for exactly that. Retweets, viral videos, mostly viral videos, viral content. You know, you've got people that can say that they cover a sport, but
𝗦𝗏𝘀, you about to make
routes of getting to covering a sport was much different. You're untrained. You know, in the general traditional sense. And I'm not necessarily sitting here saying that one is better than the other, but it does seem like right now the trend is to favor the people that are coming up in this business right now that maybe are doing it the viral way.
I'll say it so you don't have to, 𝗦𝗏𝘀. These places is hiring influencers and content creators instead of journalists. You're right. And it's something that's happening. Like in real time. It's something that Brooke and I have been trying to brainstorm for a little while, because it's just like, I think the three of us have grown in this business kind of together, and you learn that, okay, if you have this skill set and you do these things and you go through this process, when all that's done, you're probably going to end up at this point. And you're like, cool, I'm going to do all those things. And then you've done all those things. And it's like, oh, I thought I was supposed to be at a certain place at this point. And the rules have kind of changed and the game has kind of changed, where now, okay, information isn't actually important anymore, right? Being able to have these relationships that you build over the years isn't important anymore. Be able to be on sidelines like you guys have been able to do, and like what I've started to do, being a reporter, like those things don't really matter as much. And it's really hard to feel like you've put in all this work for something that might not be as fruitful as you once thought. And it's no shade to the people that are
taking advantage of that right now.
Yeah, like, hey, if you got
taken advantage
14 million followers and you get on one of the biggest platforms in the world, hey, salute. Like, you did that. But I think it's more looking at networks and publications of like, what are you actually going for? Because I think it is good for right now, but what these places are probably going to quickly find out is, what is the substance behind this? After you've put this little video out, cool, it's cute, it's nice for today, but tomorrow we're just going to have the same thing. And then people are going to say, we need more than this. Like, tell me about this dude, this player that's running for a 60-yard touchdown down the sidelines, Brooke, because you talked to his mom in the stands today and he used to not be able to catch, and now he's scoring touchdowns at Michigan. Like, all those things are really important. But I think we're just in a time right now where engagement is king. And I think you have people like us that are doing these jobs that are also like, well, shoot, now I need to be on TikTok and I gotta be on the gram and I gotta put up reels and I gotta do YouTube videos and I gotta do short.
Yeah,
I'm tired. Yes.
I do it better than any of us, Russ. Like, let's be realistic.
For sure. And it's just like, man, like, it should have to feel like this all the time. Yeah. But I think it's part of going through this business. I imagine there were people 25 years ago that felt that way about TV.
Yeah.
You know, and the internet. And the fact that, oh, I was just a reporter. Like, why do I have to be on camera?
Yep.
And then they quickly found out, oh, I need to be able to talk to people about why my story is important.
It's so interesting you brought that up when we got in this industry, because now I'm thinking about it. When I started off at ESPNU and SEC Network, I was behind the scenes as an associate director, but I wanted any opportunity to get on camera. The digital department, and I'm showing my age here, was just starting at ESPNU. And everybody was like, digital? Like, what is this foreign concept? Things are going to be digital. They're not linear. So nobody really took it seriously.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I mean, everything is digital. It's just crazy to think about. And I think knowledge is power, right? Like, and I think in this industry, it's always going to be changing. And I think we're going to have to adapt. But I feel like we're at this point now where things are moving so quickly, it's hard to keep up. And I think networks, talent, reporters, whatever, we're all just trying to figure out, okay, well, what's going to stick, and trying to find that balance. But dude, it is a full-time job, because it's like, I'm trying to bring quality to my career. I'm trying to do it the right way. And here's the thing, you expect that out of me when I go on camera, to know what I'm talking about, to do all the work behind the scenes. But then it's also like, oh, can you make a behind the scenes video as well? When normally those times, but I'm doing it by myself. So I'm prepping for my game, but you also want me to edit and shoot a video and also show behind. It's like, it's a lot.
Hey,
it is a lot.
And guess what? I'm going to say this.
Yeah,
ChatGPT can't do what I can do, guys. You heard me? There are a lot of people out here living on ChatGPT. I ain't gonna say no. I'm just kidding. But like, yeah, like there's a lot of work that goes into being prepared and being ready when you're on a sideline, Dani K, when you're in Monte Carlo or Barcelona or Madrid. Like, you need to be able to talk to these people and know what their matches were about. I need to be able to know about a dude's postseason performance from 10 years ago that might not matter until, 2 years from now. And I think a lot of that stuff matters and I think will matter. But I also think nobody knows. Brooke, you said like we want to know where things are going. I don't think these networks or publications know. I think they're just trying to throw stuff at the wall and they're trying to figure out what sticks in all of that. But I also don't think what we do will ever expire.
But I'm curious.
Stories will always need to be told.
Are you curious, or I'm curious if you guys feel this way, because I will say one of my most favorite, although I get very petty and frustrated, I think, with this compliment, but I appreciate the compliment a lot. Whenever I MC an event, let's like not even call it reporting. You're MCing an event, you're doing a side, like one of those side hustle jobs. And those are typically given to an influencer a lot of times, and you go in as a reporter with a reporter background who's trained in this. You have many years underneath your belt and you finish the event and the person comes up to you and they're like, wow, that was really good. And like, that's like so much different. We had this person do it last time and you just got so much more. Like you knew what you were talking about, or, oh, you were so prepared. It's like, I want to be like, duh. But also, I'm so thankful for the compliment, but I also want to be like, there's literally no other way if you hire somebody that has put the work in. I don't care if it's me. I don't care if it's Russ or Brooke or whoever reporter or trained on camera personality. There is something that comes with experience. And I don't think that people really realize it until you do it back to back with someone that does it.
Well, it's like when you watch a TV show or you watch a movie and there was a bad cut or there's a bad like audio edit or there's like acting that feels off. You don't notice that stuff when they're excellent at their job, right? But you do notice things when it's like, something doesn't feel right.
Something's off.
Here's the thing. I don't want this to look like we are bashing people that are influencing our content creation, because I have so much respect for that side and it's a full-time job.
And I have people on our show that are
excellent and excellent at what they do. I think it's just, we're just speaking because we came from a different time and now there's a different, I call them like a different class, if you will, like as if we're in high school or something. And it's a different class, but it's like they excel in a certain thing. And so we're just trying to figure out how these two worlds come together. And so we're trying to navigate it. Networks are trying to navigate it, to Russ's point. And I think it's worth having a conversation and just trying to figure out, okay, well, we want to continue to, thrive in this industry, but how can we manage it all? And I think that's what we're trying to figure out.
Yeah, I'm still so young. I have big goals too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just because there's younger people coming up doesn't mean that I didn't still like have goals also. So I still feel like that's a smaller class gap between one and the other. And so I think we're just trying to figure out how to stay afloat, because I certainly could do way more on social media. It's like an afterthought to me. Yeah. So I totally get to your point.
I do want to dive deep into your Sideline debut.
Oh, yeah.
Or on-field reporting. How was it? How do you like it?
So I've done it now 4 times and it's different. It's different. I think for me as a reporter, it is something that I didn't think I would like doing. But I think when I got on TV and kind of saw how it was done, watching you guys do your thing, watching Taylor McGregor on Saturdays doing college football stuff, like really learning, okay, what am I looking for when they toss to me for a report? And then you realize I have all these nuggets and notes and I got 4 in during this game. And so you learn that process of like, hey man, we might get 2 or 3 of these joints in. We appreciate your preparation, Dani K, but we don't have time to get to all your reports and nuggets. But that's fun. And the game moves really fast. And it's like a dance. Like there's a flow to it where where they're going in the broadcast and you're on talk back with your producer of like, hey, I have something on this guy. If we get to it in the game, if he gets a hit or something like that. I think what's really helpful for me as a reporter, especially on the national level, like I have a lot of backstory on maybe how a deal came about, maybe how there were a couple of teams that were looking at a player and how this team said this was something that we really liked that maybe other teams didn't look at. And so giving that information to fans on a broadcast, it's cool, because once again, like, that's a way to promote what I do on the written side and on the reporter side, but also it's a way to marry it where I can bring it to people on a broadcast.
It's so true. You have so many good like nuggets and like so much information.
And you're like, oh, I'm gonna kill him with this one, and then you never get to it.
You're like, or you go to your producer's ear, you're like, hey, I can add here, and they're like, someone hits a home run, or like the game just completely changes, and you're like, dang it. You
have to realize, like, oh, somebody homer, I have to stop talking now.
Yeah.
Or ball and play. Well, I just burned a nugget and burned a
note. Oh my gosh. Okay, can I just, because fans were roasting me for this. So 𝗁cie Montgomery hit a home run, okay? But leading up to this, it actually played up well, because I was talking about his slugging, and I forgot exactly, or like maybe it was the torpedo bat or something like that. And then when he was coming up to bat, and he hits a homer like in the middle of what I like my hit. So I'm trying to find a stopping point, but then I'm not an announcer. Like, I'm not a play-by-play. So you want me to be like, and that ball is
as that ball is gone, and back to my note.
I think I said something like, and there you go.
Brooke, hold on. You love to see it. You should have gave him one of those. Brooke, that's one of her go-to lines. You love to see it. I would have cried if in the middle of Brooke giving a report, 𝗁cie homers, and Brooke, and you love to see it from 𝗁cie Montgomery, a home run.
That probably would have been a lot better. And then, and there you go. But like, I'm not trying to be, our play-by-play. Like, what am I supposed to do? But anyways, to your point, it's a song and dance. It really is when it comes to reporting and hosting.
It's different. On the cutting room floor, that's for sure.
Yeah, like I think it's a different way of seeing the industry, and I think something I've been able to do is I've seen a lot of different roles and like how to do it, and I think that's made me better at all the different jobs that I do.
Quick fire, what's your favorite?
Writing.
Okay. But look, we don't have too much more time with you, so we gotta dive into a couple things here.
Yeah.
First of all, we do want to play a game. That's what we're ending on. But before we get there, the pennant race, it's a huge deal. First of all, can you explain the postseason of Major League Baseball to everyone and talk about the teams that are relevant in this conversation?
All right. So baseball, you have the three division winners in each league, the American National League. So AL West, AL Central, AL East, NL West, NL Central, NL East. So most of those races are pretty much wrapped up. The Tigers are going to win the AL Central. The Brewers are going to win the NL Central. There's still an outside chance that the San Diego Padres could win the NL West over the Dodgers. So that's one's going to go down to the wire. The AL East also going to go down to the wire. AL West also going to go down the wire with the Houston Astros, the Seattle Mariners, and they're alive after being dead for so long. The Texas Rangers are right there in the AL wildcard race. So you're going to have three division winners on each side, and then you also have three wild card teams. So the first two wild card teams would play each other in that wild card round, best of three. And then the third wild card team would play the division winner that had the lowest record. So for everybody out there that doesn't know how like the seeding and brackets work, wild card team 1 plays wild card team 2 in a best of 3. And then wild card team 3 plays division winner 3 in the wild card round. So those are best of 3. So if I win 2 games, I move on to the DS, and then that series is best of 5. And if you win 3 of those games in the best of 5, you go on to the championship series, which is best of 7, and then World Series is best of 7.
See, it makes sense to us, but I feel like people
are like, a DS? See it? What is a wild card?
Yeah. I know I obviously covered baseball, like I not like you guys, but I did from a gambling degenerate standpoint. So I have a general idea of what's going on, but I will be honest with you, this year, nothing. Like I've got nothing other than to like watch my friends on TV. Like not much. So you're essentially speaking to me here. Mm-hmm. Divisional series is your DS. We will actually probably make a little bit of like a graphic for you on social media if you guys really want to follow it, because I feel like it's important and it's interesting, and especially because it's coming up. Like it's literally around the corner. It's about to be October baseball in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, as we record today, every team has about 11 or 12 games left, so not a lot of time. And most of the teams that are in playoff position right now are probably going to go to the playoffs. One or two teams could sneak in or slide out of a postseason spot, but teams that people should watch, Philadelphia Phillies, right? That's the team where I say, I know people look at the Dodgers like, oh, they have the big payroll. The Phillies have been there so many different times and haven't won it. This just feels like the year, especially with the Dodgers having some of their own issues. This feels like the year they could get it done. On the American League side, I look at Toronto Blue Jays as being a team that just have been really consistent all year long. The sleeper to me in the American League, the Seattle Mariners. And I think a lot of people look at their starting pitching as being, I know you like that, Danny K. That's your neck of the woods.
Pacific
up there.
Northwest.
Pacific Northwest. That people look at their pitching because they've always been really strong when it comes to starting pitching. Their pitching actually hasn't been great as of late, but they're scoring a lot more runs than they usually do. So they have an opportunity to win the AL West for the first time since 2001, which is insane. So that's something to keep an eye out for. National League side, Milwaukee Brewers, I think they play the game of baseball. Just throw the ball, hit the ball, catch the ball, as well as any team in Major League Baseball. That's why they're going to lead baseball in wins this year. But you can never really sleep on the Dodgers and Padres out there in the NL West. Like both teams, if they just decide to flip the switch, could make a run to the World Series. So it should be a fun October.
Russ, what I love about baseball is I feel like postseason, it's completely different managing a postseason game than it is in the regular season. Can you give us more insight as to what's important when it comes to managing game in the postseason?
So I think from a manager's perspective, because one game could be the difference between you moving on and you going home, moves have to be made a lot quicker. Like in the regular season, you could let a guy figure things out in terms of like a pitcher. If he's walked a batter, given up a couple hits, maybe a homer here and there, you're like, we'll let him go. In the postseason, you're going to see starters come out third, fourth inning a lot of times. Rotations get shorter. Managers go to their bullpen a lot faster. You're going to see a lot more matchups in terms of guys coming off the bench to hit. So that's the fun. It's the chess match of the postseason. And you can kind of see, maybe a manager that doesn't have as much postseason experience and hasn't done, a lot of that navigating against a guy like a Dave Roberts, who every year he's been a manager, his teams have been in the postseason. Right. And so I think last year in the World Series and in the NLDS against the Padres,
he did a great job.
I think Doc really navigated them through that postseason run where they didn't have a lot of starting pitching. Right. It was Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Walker Buehler, and then they were just figuring out the rest as they went. They didn't have Clayton Kershaw. They didn't have a lot of those young guys. Shohei wasn't pitching yet. So they had to navigate with basically 2.5 starters and a bullpen, and they ended up winning the World Series. So those are the fun things that the chess match that you can kind of watch, not only with the players on the field, but the manager in the dugout too.
And I'm glad you gave insight to that because I feel like for a casual fan, you just kind of see what's in front of you, but like behind it, like once okay, why are they making this move and who's coming to the plate? Like it is like a chess match. It's it's fun.
Super interesting. Russ, the thing about our relationship, and I've given you a lot.
We didn't even get to a lot of that.
Yeah, I have given you a lot of compliments today. And if anybody knew us, we would know that we just roast each other. That's literally how we go about our business. And we've given you so many compliments on today's show that now is the time where we make you uncomfortable. Are you want to play a little game with us?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, so what Russ is known for,
oh my gosh,
are the
what's about to be said.
His selfie game is better than ever. You can always count on Russ for a selfie. So Brooke and I thought we would ask you, when is an appropriate time for a selfie from a man's perspective? Not something we get to dive into too much, right, Brooke?
Yeah, no, we don't. And we feel like you're the expert here, Russ. So we're going to give you some different scenarios and you have to tell us if it's an appropriate place to take a selfie. Okay. We'll start off at dinner when you're at the table.
Selfie. No. With other people?
With other people. I hope you're not by yourself.
No,
sometimes you got to take yourself on a date.
No, I'm not saying you're lifting up the camera phone and showing everybody at the table.
No,
we're talking
no.
just a Russ face at the dinner.
No, inappropriate.
Okay.
Highly.
What about at the gym?
Yes, appropriate.
I was gonna say, if you say no,
yes, appropriate. Because I think a lot of times there's this, people think a progress photo for somebody is thirst trapping, and it's something that I run into with my friends a lot. So I think for me, if I'm taking a progress photo that I want to see, it's for me. Like it's not for anybody out there. I can post it, but this was just strictly to see progress. Like I have one that's the first picture on my Instagram right now. I'd been cutting for like months and was at like peak performance. And so I was like, you know what, Russ, you look good, man. Let's see how it looks. And then I was like, you know what? The world needs to see this too. So I put it out.
Hey, and you look great, by the way, Russ. You really do.
Thank you, guys.
Wait, I have a caveat to that. Should men put mirror selfies on their dating profile from the gym?
From the gym? See, the problem with that is you need to have more photos of you doing other things than just gym selfies. Okay. So I'll speak from a little bit of experience on my profile on, I'll call it Raya, because that's what it is. I have a picture of me in the Eiffel Tower. That's a much better picture to have up there than like me at the gym post pump.
Okay.
That's fair. Okay. How about on the plane when you have people sitting next to you and you're like on the maybe at the window seat?
Appropriate. So here's the thing. I've done this before, but I usually do it to inform people what's going on. Usually when I'm delayed. And so I like to do these things when I have a long delay, these Ask Me Anythings, where I just answer questions from people that follow me on Instagram. Like, where am I going on my next vacation? Where should I go for my vacation? Different things like that. I think that's cool. Like, you're not hurting anybody. You have clothes on. It's just passing the time.
Can I just say
a bathroom mirror?
Wait, real quick. Can I just say the lighting in the plane is chef's kiss.
Perfect.
Great natural lighting.
Come on, talk about it, Brooke.
Okay.
𝗏𝗏, did you say bathroom mirror?
Bathroom mirror.
Okay, this is where it gets tricky because
we're not talking about your private text messages, Russ.
No, I'm just saying this because I think there are a lot of stuff that you see out there where it's like, whoa, this should have been in close friends. I think bathroom mirror is shaky because it can give off the vibe of something that you don't necessarily mean it to be. And so I think you got to go abdomen up in bathroom selfies. Okay. Anything that includes like knee up, put that on close friends.
Okay. I also think bathrooms can be tricky because what if you have like the toilet in the background, or you got to find the right angle. It kills the vibe if you got
towels back there. And, yeah, you got to know how to do it.
How about at work? A nice at work selfie.
Work selfie. I think it depends on what you do for a living.
Okay.
I think it depends on what you do for a living.
But you're sitting at a desk. I don't mean a broadcast desk. You're sitting at a desk, like at your day job,
like a 9 to 5, like you're at Allstate.
Don't suck your teeth on this podcast.
I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
I'm gonna say no.
Okay, last one, because I think this is a little controversial.
Uh-oh.
In bed.
Does it go out to the world?
Yes, but it could. Listen, this could mean a lot of things, okay? What if it's just like a lazy Sunday in bed?
Nah. I don't think you, as a dude, you don't get the benefit of the doubt with that one. You'll never get benefit of the doubt as a dude with the bed selfie. People are gonna think you're on demon time. And they're gonna call you. They're gonna call you like Demon Time Russ and all this other. No, lose situation. Keep that on close friends or to your little boo.
Demon Time Russ. I totally forgot about that.
Oh, can I tell the people something?
Yes.
Please.
Before we get out of here. So Brooke and 𝗏𝗏, I love them very much. They are fantastic at recommendations. So if you're watching this podcast and you need a recommendation for, anything, Dani K and Brooke are awesome. Like we all three of us love to travel. We've all been around the world. And when I really started getting my world travels, when I met these guys, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to this place. And Dani K is like, all right, when you go to London, go to Fumo, right? Go to Tattoo, which is one of my two of my favorite restaurants in the world.
Tattoo.
When I go to Paris, Brooke is like, okay, if you're looking for a nice, fun evening, vibey, go to Hotel Costas. They have a great restaurant. They have a great bar, and it's vibey. And fellas, let me tell you something. When your homegirl tells you a place is vibey, they're really trying to throw you the lob. And Brooke threw me the lob because I went in there with a nice lady friend, and she really enjoyed the vibe. So, no, they're great at giving recommendations. And so now I've turned into that friend for people because I've been able to go so many places. And so, but I learned that from these guys.
Love that. That's so nice.
Well,
We
thanks,
appreciate
Russ.
it.
We appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you guys.
No,
and we know that
my
you
alcoholism is coming into, good use. I'm just kidding.
we know we can catch a vibe. That's one thing that we're good
do
at.
like the vibes.
We do. We are here for the vibes.
It's so important. You can't go to another country and not try a good restaurant.
Yeah, like I think that's one of my favorite parts about traveling is like just getting to go and try different cuisine and try different foods. And like I'm going back to Paris, I think this year, in my trip because I just think I didn't get to see enough of it. Right? I think I did 3 or 4 days the last time, which was cool. But the Louvre has 3 different wings. I only got to see one. So like you need a good couple of days to see everything. So that's one of the things I want to do for sure. But like just going and trying food, walking in the little shops where you don't know the language and doing the weird, I'm a tourist, I'm gonna point at something to get it, or learning a couple of new words in whatever country that you're in, which I try to do everywhere that I go. Get out there, folks. The world is a big place and you should see it.
The world is your oyster, everybody.
It is.
And you know what? That's the one time where we will allow you to take selfies when you're at dinner on your off-season vacations, Russ.
There we
That's
go.
One of my favorite things.
There we go. Exceptions to the rule.
Like, where's Russ today?
I love an Instagram selfie from Russ. We just had to give you some extra love. We appreciate you so much. I mean,
yes,
so fun to get to catch up with you in general, but you're always such a good sport. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me on. I have loved watching the podcast and all the guests that you had on. Dani K, I was telling Brooke that I love when you guys had Will Blackman on. You guys were talking about wine and sommeliers and stuff like that. I can get in my fancy guy bag.
Yeah, I mean, take notes. He said you don't need to know the wine when you go into the restaurant. Take care.
Will. Nah, I'm trying to impress when I get in there. I'm like, I'm looking for something with woody notes.
Right?
Woody notes.
Something woody.
Let me tell you something.
Hints of blackberry and currant. That's what I'm trying to.
Girl, she don't know the difference. No. She's like, just give me some good
something
wine.
Something I could take a flick of.
After you're buying the glass of wine, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
For me these days, I'm like, is this going to make me feel hungover tomorrow? No? Great.
I will have a water.
Yeah. Showing my age once again. Russ, we appreciate you. We love you. Thank you so much for coming on. And guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week.